In this video we're going to cover this, the final race of the FIA Manufacturers Series, where I'm hoping to sign off the campaign in style. We're going to see how this race goes, touch on my thoughts on how the season has gone, whilst also going into my plans for the season up ahead and the changes I have in store, in an effort to not only maintain where I am, but to push on here on Gran Turismo Sport. Hey guys, Eerie is here, welcome back to the channel and thank you for choosing to join me here for another video. If this is your first time here and you like watching all sorts of sim racing related stuff, then make sure to subscribe now and hit that bell icon as well so you get notified of every video I upload and you don't miss a thing. So we're here and we're going to take a look, albeit a much shorter one this time, at the pre-race practice session, in which, just like the last time out at Spa, I could not improve on my previous best lap, which was a 1 minute 27.718. This time was around 0.8 off Fire and the other big boys, again a time, considering I was in the huge Aston, which I felt this track didn't really suit, I was reasonably happy with, and I was going to take that time into the race session then. So here we are just before quali, and as it's becoming a bit of a tradition now, time for the lobby reveal. And well, look at the names in there. This speaks for itself in terms of the strength of this one. It wasn't actually the last slot of the day either. I had a big day at work the next day, so I gambled and went a slot early. And I still made the top split, so I'm happy with that one. Progression is definitely there. On track then for attempt number 1, and as always we're going to try and find a banker lap. I wanted to find that slipstream as well and I managed to find it behind the Greek here in the Honda. I probably could have done with being a bit further away, as I had to get out of the throttle numerous times during this quick lap, because the big girl was so quick in a straight line and was going to have me smashing his back doors in if I wasn't careful. But after this lap I came across the line with a 1 minute 28.323. A clean lap, a perfect banker, happy with that one, as we return to the pit straight away for attempt number 2. So attempt number 2 then, I thought I was onto a winner, being behind the current pole sitter, but I felt a little bit too far behind. Probably, unsurprisingly given the aforementioned fact, and ended up losing the slipstream. He abandoned his lap halfway through for good measure as well, so I thought I'd follow him in and go again. So lap number 3 now, and I come out all alone. No cars, as you can see there on the track map, anywhere near me at all, so I have to slow right down to find some people to get the slipstream from, but I managed to mess that up. I was out of the slipstream by the time we needed to start the lap, so I gave him once again for one final attempt. So, final attempt time now, lap number 4. I'm being incredibly careful to stay out of everybody's way, and I thought I'd hit the jackpot once more, slotting in behind the now pole sitter. But again, the big girl with me at the wheel just couldn't stay within the 1 second required, and I was out of the slipstream again. But as there was nothing to lose, there was no time to come in and try again, I went for it. And the lap started well. Despite not having a slipstream, I went purple in sector 1. The trickiest bit for this huge lumbering machine are the second and third sectors here at the Red Bull Ring, which are incredibly tricky. But we get through those without issue and we come across the line to improve to a 1 minute 28.033. Taking 0.3 out of my previous best despite not having that all important slipstream, putting us up to 17th momentarily, but I was then overtaken as time expired by the Italian in the 911. So back in the lobby, as we change our tyres here in the background so that we start on softs, in line with our strategy which I'll cover later on. We have had our starting position confirmed. We will be starting this one in 18th place, despite being 0.672 of a second off the pole sitter. Also, having done my best time without any slipstream, showing once again how close things are at this level, I was excited and encouraged by how close I was, despite not having a slipstream. But I know all too well that quali pace and race pace are two very different things. So let's get into the race session and see what we can do here. Here we are then lined up for the race itself. And before we begin, let's give some thanks to the livery creator for this one. A big thanks to you, Frank Karin, for the Kinder inspired livery. The last livery we'll be using on the DBR9, but as mentioned, we'll get into that later on. So we're starting here in 18th. We managed to avoid making the same mistake as last time, where we almost spun before the start finish line. But mistakes are going to plague us at the start here once again, as we receive a penalty at turn 1 for exceeding track limits, which when I serve puts us down to 19th. It's not the end of the world though, as we're still in the slipstream of the pack up in front, who are, as we come through the penultimate corner here, going to all come into the pits, getting off those hard tyres here at the end of lap number 1. I didn't see what the others went on to, but I decided to go on the mediums. Now, this race is the next and final round of the FIA Manufacturers Series, obviously here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. We have 19 laps here to complete, all 3 compounds of tyre are available, and I think we need to use at least the hards, maybe even the mediums too. I can't quite remember, but either way this one was going to be a 2-stopper for us. We have got rid of the hards as we saw there back on lap number 1. We will be going to lap 10 here on these mediums, coming in and then finishing on the softs. I have saved the softs until last because as we really need to be saving fuel in this one, ideally I want to be in traffic on the harder compound, sitting in someone else's slipstream as they punch a hole in the air. Then, when I've saved enough fuel, I can push on the quickest tyres to try and get a result here. So this is why coming into turn 2 here on lap number 3, I'm staying with the pack, trying to fuel save whilst driving as quickly as I can, and coming down into turn number 1, Quintin goes for the move. I don't fight it though, as I try to save as much fuel as possible whilst holding on to those in front. Unfortunately though, this means we are now down to last place. But I've just got to keep mentally strong, knowing that now is not the time to panic and we need to stick to the tyre and fuel strategy. Moving ahead to lap number 5 here, we've been going along quite nicely and are just about keeping up with the drivers in front. But then I get myself another penalty for track limits, and these were both all on me, absolutely nothing to do with the system. I just flew too close to the sun trying to make up those 100ths of a second at an incredibly risky pace, which is going to cost me way more in the long run and potentially be quite devastating to our race here, because as you can see now I'm going to drop out of the slipstream of the pack in front as I serve my penalty. But we go back up to 19th here as the Belgian comes into the pits. Keep an eye on the delta there on the left hand side and you'll see he moves onto the softs. So I expect him to be back up with us very shortly as we continue our planned stint on our mediums. On the next lap, the front runners have started to come in. We've moved up to 16th and actually have a run on 15th coming into turn number 3, who is still getting up to speed having just come in. But I don't go for the move, it would have been completely pointless. We are on completely different strategies and every second counts for me right now. And as I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, we'd end up wasting more time battling for a place I will eventually lose again anyway. So I'm going to try and stick behind and get as much slipstream as possible from this guy here. Lap number 8 now, and we're going to go up to 15th as more people come in. We're in a false position though, as we're on different strategies here, and we remain focused on being as quick as we can whilst driving within our limits for when all the pit stops are set and done and we know where we stand. Rejoining the action later on in the lap, another few more positions are gained as people come in. We're getting caught up here with the faster runners though on their brand new tyres. We still have another lap after this one to go on our mediums, which are feeling rather second hand now. We've got TRL Org behind me here, the pressure of which leads me to exceeding track limits once again at turn number 1. I'll be getting another penalty for that one for sure. I'm going to put on my indicator here once again. I'm just not going to fight it as I get out of the throttle and go down to 13th. My third penalty is confirmed. I am absolutely ruining myself with this one and these unforced errors. And as I serve my penalty, I go down to 14th. And this was going to be where I continue to fall down the order. We're going to go down to 15th here as Quentin comes past. And here on lap 10, which is our in lap, 16th as the Italian comes through at turn number 2. But don't worry, we've still got enough time to lose one more position before we come in and fall to 17th as the Greek comes through, coming into the penultimate corner. We finally come into the pits and we can finally get rid of these mediums. I put in an extra lap of fuel as always, finger counting away there. I have mentioned this before in videos, but I simply do not need the extra issue of fuel anxiety, thank you very much, on top of everything else. And as we emerge from the pits following our final stop in P19, we have a straight run to the finish now. We have more than enough fuel on the fastest compounded tyre and determined not to come last here in the last race of the FIA Manufacturers Series. Lap 14 then, and now there is a time and a place to be defensive. And coming into turn number 2, or turn number 3 I think it's officially called, is one of those times. I make my intentions crystal clear very early and go defensive into this turn 3. It's important to be aware of the best places on any track to overtake. I know this, the run down to turn number 3 is the best place to overtake. So on lap 15 I'm really concentrating on getting a good run here out of turn 1 to defend and actually end up going purple in the sector. And again purple once again on the next lap. It's at this point, as we look back, I think we've managed to break the fellow Brit and save our 19th place. That was of course until, as we fast forward to the end of the lap, I bring him back into play with yet another silly penalty. Another unforced error coming out of the final corner and exceeding track limits again. Now this hasn't been my finest race. Lots of penalties and rocking around in near last isn't my finest moment. And some potentially wouldn't have shared this. But as you know, you see everything here on my journey. Warts and all were covered on this channel. And whilst some may not have shown you this, I will. And whilst we see if we can avoid coming last, which wouldn't be the greatest way to end the season, I wanted to share with you a very informal end of season summary. Happy would be the way I would sum this up, as it's kind of been a season of two halves really. The first half was mediocre, and then things really came to life once I started getting into the top splits with the big boys. Some of the people that I've been in the same lobbies with have really inspired me, and many of you out there from what I read in the comments as well, which is really great to see, and is where I want to stay if I possibly can. And to do that, I feel I need to make some changes. Firstly, I let the track dictate the content schedule early on in the season, and I was doing many races to pump out the content. But for next season, I want to hand pick the races I do, and even if that means a video will be a day late or two, anytime we haven't seen each other for a little while, I have revived the Erie Isn't account so we can use that one to get together and have some fun. And secondly, I am looking to move manufacturer. Now Aston Martin was great, and thank you all who took part in the poll to choose it. The DBR9 was a bit of fun, but there was definitely a reason why I didn't see many others in the races that I did, which I felt on more than one occasion. Now, not that that's an excuse, I take full responsibility for my results, which of course have been the best I have ever had. I just felt there could have been more, and now we need something a bit more serious and a bit more competitive if I'm going to stay where I want to stay. But what won't be different is that again I want to hand over the reins to yourselves to help me choose. But this time, maybe I'll do some research and give you a slightly shorter shortlist to choose from instead. This will also be the last time for the foreseeable future that you'll see the F1 rim on the channel, because if you haven't caught any of my live streams yet, I have a new wheel, which I'm excited to say will be making its debut in the very next video. So as we cross the line to hold on to our 19th place and sign off this year's FIA manufacturers season, I'm going to head off and try and gain some more DR in the dailies before the next season starts in a few weeks, which of course I will be documenting and showing you right here on the channel. But for now guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Thanks again so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.